Ahoy there, ye lost souls and curious wanderers. Ye be sailing now on the seas of mystery, where truth and legend dance upon the tide. The winds whisper secrets, the waves carry echoes of the damned, and the stars above be guiding us through the unknown. But beware, these ain't just any waters, and I ain't just any captain.
With a yo-ho-ho and a pint of rum, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try.
I be Captain Jeb, cursed to sail these haunted seas and spectral airwaves till the end of time. I faced the devil's grin, heard the wails of the forsaken, and felt the cold hand of fate drag me beneath the waves. Yet here I be. With a battered map and a belly full of rum, I hunt the myths that refuse to die. Ghost ships, sea beasts, and curses older than time itself.
From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try.
So sharpen your wits, stoke the lantern bright, and steel yourself for what lies ahead. The truth be hiding beneath the waves, and I be bound to seek it till the last bell tolls.
There's monsters, treasures, and whispers of doom, fog-shrouded islands where the ghost lights loom. Captain Jeb's laugh cuts through the fear. Onward, ye scallywags, the truth be near.
Now hoist the anchor, trim the sails, and raise the black. The seas of mystery await.
So wrong, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, it's seas of mystery, oh give it a try. So hoist the sails and bring your grit. With Captain Jeb, there's no quitting it. The seas are wild, the legends untold. Set course for mystery, be brave, be bold. Yo ho ho, let's set sail tonight with Captain Jeb and his ghostly light.
The night was calm, the sky stretched wide and black, speckled with stars that flickered like lanterns on some distant, forgotten shore. The crew of the Bloody Gull gathered close on the deck, the warmth of their breath steaming in the night air. As Captain Jeb leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes glinting in the lantern's glow. A hush settled as they waited for the old sea dog to spin one of his yawns. And when Jeb spoke, his voice was low, like the rumble of distant thunder on the horizon.
Hoist the sails and bring your grit. With Captain Jeb, there's no quitting it. The sea.
Aye, ye lot like a mystery, don't ye? Well, I got one for ye tonight. The tale of a ship that set sail and never came back. A ship swallowed whole, leaving not a scrap behind. The Grimsby Maid, she was called. A sturdy old brig crewed by the hardiest souls ever to call the sea their home. She was bound from Kingston to New York, her hold stuffed to the gills with sugar and rum. Easy voyage, eh? Only she never made it. Never sent a distress call, never turned up wrecked on some reef. Just vanished.
Aye, Jeb, ships vanish all the time. Storms, pirates, the sea herself be greedy. What makes this one so special?
Oh, this weren't no ordinary loss, Red. 'Cause here's where it gets queer. See, a week after she vanished, the Grimsby Maid was seen again.
Seen again? By who?
By another pirate ship, the Bonnie Lass, bound for the Carolinas. Clear night, calm waters, and out of the mist she comes, gliding slow across the waves like a ghost. The Grimsby Maid, plain as day, but something was off. No crew on deck, no lights in the portholes. And this be the part that'd chill the bones of any sailor. Her sails were full and billowing, but there weren't a lick of wind to be found.
Dead ship, sailing on her own? That ain't right.
Aye, that's what the Bonnie Lass's crew thought too. Their captain, a man called Aldous Reed, was no coward, but he weren't a fool neither. He brought his ship alongside, close enough to see the deck. And what they saw, well, it turned a lot of them green.
All right, spit it out already, Jeb. What did they see?
They saw the crew, standing at attention, shoulder to shoulder, all staring straight ahead like statues. Not moving, not breathing, just standing there. But their eyes were gone.
Gone. As in,
empty sockets, lass. Black as the abyss itself. Like their souls had been plucked clean out of their skulls.
What did Captain Reed do?
What any sane man would do. Got the hell out of there. Ordered his crew to pull away, didn't look back. But as they sailed off, they heard something. A sound drifting over the water. Something that turned even the stoutest men to trembling babes. It weren't the wind. Weren't the creak of the ship. It was laughter.
Bah! Trick of the sea. Echoes on the waves.
Ah, maybe. But the Bonnie Lass never sailed those waters again, nor did any ship that heard the tale. The Grimsby Maid was never seen again after that night. No wreckage, no survivors, no explanation.
what do you think happened to him, Jeb?
Oh, I got me suspicions. Maybe they angered something in those waters. Maybe they carried something in their cargo that ought not be disturbed. Or maybe the sea just wanted him and she took him whole, body and soul.
Yeah, you best be spinning tails, Captain.
Aye, lad, or maybe I ain't. That's for ye to decide.
And so the crew of the Bloody Gull sat quiet for a time, listening to the sea, listening to the night, wondering if, somewhere out there, beneath the black waves, the Grimsby Maid still drifted, and if her crew still stood, faceless, waiting for another ship to pass too close. Now, did Jeb spin on my tail, or did he tell him the truth? Well, that's for ye to decide.
Gather round, ye sons and daughters of the deep, and listen close. The sea, she be a cruel mistress, taking what she pleases and giving naught in return. She keeps her secrets well, whole ships, whole crews, whole stories swallowed by the tides, never to be heard from again. But even among all the lost vessels, ghost ships, and vanishings, there be some tales that send a chill straight to the bone. The kind that make even the hardest sailor take pause before setting out on the water. Now, most folks have heard of Mary Celeste, found adrift in 1872, cargo untouched, crew vanished, as if the ocean simply plucked them away. Then there be the Carol A. Earring run aground on the Diamond Shoals in 1921, not a soul aboard, galley still set for a meal that would never be eaten. But tonight, we speak of something even stranger, something bigger. A behemoth of steel, a Navy ship crewed by 309 souls, swallowed whole without a single distress call, without a trace, without a clue. She was called the USS Cyclops, and her disappearance remains one of the greatest maritime mysteries in history. March 1918. She left Barbados, heavy with manganese ore, bound for Baltimore. And then, nothing. She was never seen again. No wreckage, no survivors, no message in a bottle to tell her tale. It's as if she simply ceased to exist. And where did she vanish? Right into the devil's own hunting ground, the Bermuda Triangle. Aye, the same stretch of ocean where planes and ships alike have been lost. Where compasses spin like mad, and where sailors whisper of waters that take, but never give back. So what happened to the Cyclops? Was it sabotage? Did German spies strike her down in the shadow of war? Or was it something beyond man's understanding? Some say the triangle swallowed her, like it swallowed so many before and after. Others believe the US government knows more than they let on. And a few think she never sank at all. Tonight, we be diving deep into this mystery. First, we'll lay down the facts, the official story, what little there be. Then we'll hear from a naval historian who spent years searching for answers. After that, we open the lines to you, our loyal crew. Those who've sailed these waters, those who've studied the triangle, and those who believe the government ain't telling us the whole truth. And before the night is done, we'll hear letters from listeners who claim to have felt the triangle's pull, who've seen things on the water they can't explain. So batten down the hatches, pour yourself a strong drink, and settle in. We be heading straight into the storm, into the unknown, into the place where ships go, never to return. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Sailors, seafarers, and landlubbers alike, if ye be yearning for the finest in handcrafted maritime goods, look no further than sea-worn and weathered. From ship-shaped lanterns to rugged coats that can withstand the fiercest nor'easter, we've got the gear to keep ye ready for the open water. Each item built with the craftsmanship of old, designed to last longer than a sailor's shirt. Visit Sea-Worn and Weathered, where the sea meets the soul. There be two things a sailor can trust: roll of the tide and a fine bottle of McCready's rum. Distilled with a secret recipe older than the high seas themselves, McCready's has been warming bellies and easing stormy nights since 1764. Smooth, bold, and just a touch of the devil in every sip. Whether ye be telling tales or settling into the watch, make it McCready's. Raise your glass to the sea.
Aye.
USS Cyclops, last known departure March 4th, 1918 from Barbados. Cargo, manganese ore. Destination, Baltimore. Crew, 309. No distress signal received. Vessel presumed lost at sea.
To understand the mystery, we gotta know the ship herself. The USS Cyclops, a beast of steel, 542 feet from bow to stern, with a belly built to carry over 12,000 tons of coal or ore. One of Uncle Sam's biggest fuel ships, she was the lifeblood of the fleet, built to keep the Navy's warships running. But by 1918, her job changed. The war was on, and she was hauling manganese ore, a metal vital for making steel, bullets, armor, war machines. She wasn't just a ship, she was a target. And at her helm, Lieutenant Commander George Worley. Now, here's where things get strange. Worley wasn't just a hard man, he was a man with secrets. His real name? Wilhelm. Aye, he heard me right. Wilhelm Worley. A man born in Germany, now commanding a U.S. naval vessel in the middle of World War I. Some say he was erratic, prone to fits of rage. Others whisper that the crew feared him, that he called them lazy hogs and ran the ship like his own personal kingdom. But there's more. Some claim Worley had pro-German sentiments. Could there have been sabotage? Could the Cyclops carry more than just manganese? Something the enemy wanted? Now, here's where we set the scene. The world in 1918. The Great War was in its final stretch, but it was far from over. German U-boats were prowling the Atlantic, hunting down supply ships, looking to cut off the Allies' lifeline. Dozens of vessels had already been sent to the depths. And the Cyclops, a slow, heavy freighter weighed down with ore, she'd have been an easy target. But if a U-boat took her, where's the proof? No debris, no distress call, nothing. German records never claimed her as a kill. and even the cold efficiency of the German Navy wouldn't erase a ship this size without leaving a mark. So what else could have done her in? Some say it was mechanical failure. The Cyclops had engine troubles before she reached Barbados. Maybe she limped too far, too heavy, and the sea swallowed her whole. But ships that big don't go quietly. Then there'd be the Bermuda Triangle. Aye, we've all heard the stories. Planes that disappear from the sky, ships that enter and never return. Magnetic anomalies, time warps, forces beyond our ken. The Cyclops sailed straight into that cursed patch of water and was never seen again. No wreckage, no signal, no goodbye. So, what do we make of it, me hearties? Up next, we'll be speaking with a naval historian, a man who spent years searching for answers. Maybe he's found clues the rest of us have missed. Maybe he holds the key to this century-old riddle.
Oh, the bloody gull set sail one morn with Captain Jeb at the helm, weather-worn through the turquoise seas with a crew so bold to the Bermuda Triangle where stories are told. Whispers of ghosts and ships long gone, of compasses spinning from dusk till dawn. But fear we toss to the depths below, for a pirate's life is all we know. Into the triangle where shadows creep, where the sky turns black and the oceans weep. Through the veil of the lost, where the brave won't go, we'll chase the storm and steal its glow. Of thunder and a flash of light, the triangle swallowed the day to night. Waves like mountains rose and fell as the gulls above screeched a warning bell. Yet Jeb roared loud, hold fast my crew, there's treasure ahead and it's ours to pursue. Through winds that howled like banshee cries, the bloody gull cut through the storm-torn skies. Into the triangle where shadows creep, where the sky turns black and the oceans weep. Through the veil of the lost, where the brave won't go, we'll chase the storm and steal its glow. In the heart of the storm, a ghostly fleet with sails of mist and a silent beat. Their eyes like fire, their voices a wail. Turn back now or you'll share our tale. But Jeb drew his blade and cursed the air. No ghost or gale shall force despair. Where bloody gull boys we fear no grave, we'll claim the spoils that the triangle gave. When dawn broke through, the storm had fled, and in its wake, the sea glowed red. A chest of gold on the deck did gleam, a cursed reward or a pirate's dream. But the crew knew well as they sailed away, the triangle's grip would call one day. Yet they laughed and drank their spirits high, for a pirate lives, but he's born to die. Into the triangle where shadows creep, where the sky turns black and the oceans weep. Through the veil of the lost, where the brave won't go, we'll chase the storm and steal its glow. So raise your mugs to the bloody gull, to Captain Jeb and his heart so full. May the triangle sing of their daring tale, of pirates who laughed in the devil's gale.
Now, mates, we've speculated, we've pondered, but it's time we bring in someone with a keen eye for the truth. He spent years digging through the Navy's deepest mysteries, and if anyone can help us chart a course through the unknown, it's him. Joining us now is none other than Dr. William Carter, naval historian and seeker of lost ships. Welcome aboard, Doc.
Captain Jeb, thanks for having me.
Ah, Dr. Carter, you old sea dog. Welcome aboard Seas of Mystery. Now, we've been diving into the strange tale of the USS Cyclops, and I reckon ye got more than a few thoughts on what might have happened to her.
That I do, Captain. The case of the Cyclops has puzzled naval historians for over a century. While the official stance suggests a combination of overload and structural failure, the real mystery is the total lack of wreckage. Ships that large don't simply vanish without a trace.
Aye, that's the bit that don't sit right with me gut. She weren't a rowboat, Dr. Carter. She was a 19,000-ton colossus. And yet, not a board or barrel to be found. Now, some say it was sabotage, eh? Spies? Foul play?
Well, if we examine the geopolitical climate of 1918, there's reason to suspect espionage. World War I was raging, and the U.S. had been at war with Germany for nearly a year. Now here's where things get interesting. Commander George Worley, the Cyclops captain, had German ties. In fact, his real name was Wilhelm. He was born in Germany and immigrated to the U.S. before joining the Navy.
So we've got ourselves a Navy commander with a German name in the middle of a war with Germany on a ship carrying a war-critical mineral. Now, if that don't sound like the setup to a spy novel, I don't know what does.
Exactly. Some crew members reported that Worley was erratic, insulting the men running the ship like a dictatorship. And there were whispers, unconfirmed of course, that he had pro-German sympathies. Could he have been a double agent? Could he have arranged for the ship to be intercepted, perhaps even defected?
Aye, but then where's the ship? If she was intercepted, you'd think someone would have seen her again, eh?
That's where the theory runs into problems. If the Germans captured her, we'd expect her to either show up in their fleet or for some record of the event to surface after the war. But there's nothing. Not a single document or survivor testimony suggests she was taken. Now, there's another possibility. U-boats. German submarines were hunting Allied supply lines aggressively. Could the Cyclops have been torpedoed?
Maybe. But again, wreckage, survivors. A ship that big don't just get swallowed whole, does it?
That's why some turn to the Bermuda Triangle.
Nah, the sailor's graveyard. Magnetic anomalies, rogue waves, methane bubbles rising from the deep. Aye, I've heard 'em all. But her sister ships vanished too, eh? Proteus and Nereus. Same design, same route, gone without a trace.
That's correct. In 1941, both Proteus and Nereus disappeared under eerily similar circumstances, in roughly the same waters. No distress signals, no debris fields. Some historians chalk it up to structural weakness in the ships, a flaw in their design. Others, well, they point to something more unexplained.
Tell me, Dr. Carter, have ye ever come across something that made you think there's more to this world than we understand? That maybe, just maybe, the sea don't always play by the rules of men.
More than once, Captain. More than once.
Lost at sea? Never again. With the Wayfinder's compass, you'll always know where the wind's taking you. Built with precision and forged for adventure, this compass won't lead you astray, even in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. Pick up your Wayfinder's compass today, because every great journey begins with the right direction.
Ahoy there, weary traveler! Step inside the Black Anchor Tavern, where the ale's always cold and the stories never run dry. From hearty stews to the finest grog this side of the Atlantic will fill your belly and warm your soul. So if ye find yourself wandering near the docks, follow the sound of laughter and step inside. First round's on us.
Ahoy, mate! Aye.
Now, me hearties, we've pored over the history, weighed the facts, and even pondered what dark forces might be at play. But the sea's got ears, and so do ye fine folks listening out there. So let's hear from ye. If ye've got thoughts on the fate of the Cyclops, if ye've sailed them waters or heard whispers on the wind, tonight's the night to share. We've got our first caller on the line. Frank, I hear ye be a man of the sea. What say ye?
Aye, Captain Jeb, I sailed them waters back in the 70s. Merchant Marine, I tell ya. The triangle ain't just a tale to scare greenhorns. It's real. Something out there don't want to be found. Instruments go haywire, compasses spin like a drunk man at a tavern, and the air, aye, it feels heavy like the ocean's holding its breath.
That's so. Ye ever had a run-in yourself, Frank?
Once, we were passing through a stretch not far from where the Cyclops went missing. Clear skies, smooth seas. Then all of a sudden, every damn gauge on the bridge started bouncing around like they'd gone mad. Radio static, compass spun useless. Then the ship, she slowed like we were pushing against something we couldn't see.
That's fascinating, Frank. Did you experience any strange weather patterns, rogue waves, water spouts?
No, that's the thing. There was nothing. Dead calm. Too calm. It wasn't natural, I tell ya. Felt like the ocean had swallowed something whole and we were right on top of its grave.
A grave, ye say? Aye, Frank. If the Cyclops was taken, it wouldn't be the first nor the last. Appreciate ye calling in, mate.
Captain Jeb, Dr. Carter, thanks for taking my call. Now, I don't buy the Bermuda Triangle theory, but I do believe there's something being kept from the public. If the Cyclops was simply lost at sea, why didn't they declassify more records? What is the government hiding?
You bring up a fair point, Maria. In fact, the Navy's official stance has always been rather vague. No real investigation, no attempt to locate wreckage. Even when other warships went missing, they rarely pursued the matter beyond routine reports.
Aye, it be the old out of sight, out of mind trick, eh? Keep the truth locked in a chest and hope no one ever pries it open.
Exactly. And let's not forget, this was wartime. The U.S. was heavily involved in World War I. Commander Worley had German ties. Could the Cyclops have been intercepted, taken, or even scuttled to keep secrets from getting out?
That's been a long-standing theory. Some believe Worley was a liability, that his erratic behavior and German heritage made him a potential target, or even a traitor. If the Navy suspected espionage, the ship's disappearance might have been covered up to prevent panic.
And yet, despite all this, no records, no wreckage, no closure for the families. I don't believe for a second this was a simple accident.
Ye ain't the only one, lass. Keep digging. And if ye find anything buried in them dusty archives, send word our way.
Captain Jeb, Dr. Carter, listen. What if the Cyclops wasn't lost at sea at all? What if it was taken, teleported, a victim of an experiment gone wrong?
You mean something like the Philadelphia experiment?
Exactly. The government was testing secret technology in the early 20th century. What if they tried something on the Cyclops? And poof, it was gone. That's why there's no wreckage. It didn't sink, it shifted out of our reality.
That's a bold claim, Jake. While the Philadelphia experiment remains largely considered a hoax, it is true that the Navy was experimenting with radar and visibility techniques decades later.
Right! And maybe they started earlier than we thought. What if the Cyclops was a test run? Or what if it ended up somewhere else? Another time, another dimension?
That's a whole different ocean ye be navigating, lad. But if history's taught us anything, it's that the truth be stranger than fiction. Keep them theories coming.
Captain, Dr. Carter, I've studied deep-sea geological activity, and the methane gas theory makes the most sense. If a large release of methane gas occurred under the Cyclops, the water density would have dropped so suddenly that the ship would have lost buoyancy instantly and sunk before anyone could react.
That's an excellent point, Lena. Sudden gas eruptions have been recorded before, capable of swallowing entire vessels without a trace.
Aye, but why no distress call? If she was going down, wouldn't someone have hollered for help?
If the gas reached the surface, it could have ignited, causing an explosion or knocking out communications. A sudden, silent death.
Aye, Captain.
Twice I passed near where the Cyclops vanished. Both times the sea was wrong. Dead calm, no wind, eerie as the grave. If that ship sank, the sea don't want us to know. I read, some graves don't give up their dead.
On the docks of Boston town, where the gallows cast its shade, they lined the pirates one by one, and the bloody price was paid. Tom stood tall with a fearless grin, though the noose was round his neck. He said, "Ye can take my life, my lads, but my spirit you'll regret. You'll never shackle the seas, never shackle the seas. For every soul you lay to rest, 10 more rise from the breeze. Ye'll never shackle the seas, no crown can cage the free." Was jeering, the rope was tight, and the trapdoor slammed away. But the wind carried Tom's last words, and they haunt the seas today. They left him swinging in the breeze as a warning to the crew. But now his ghost walks every shore where the salt wind whispers true. You'll never shackle the seas, never shackle the seas. For every soul you lay to rest, 10 more rise from the breeze. Ye'll never shackle the seas, no crown can cage the free. Now sailors claim on moonless nights where the gallows used to stand. A shadow sways with phantom ropes, a ghost of the hangman's hand. And if ye listen close enough, as the tide begins to swell, you'll hear Tom's voice on the howling wind with a tale he'll always tell. You'll never shackle the seas, never shackle the seas. The heart of a pirate beats too wild to bow on bended knees. You'll never shackle the seas, never shackle the seas. For every soul you lay to rest, 10 more rise from the breeze. Ye'll never shackle the seas, no crown can cage the free. So raise your mugs to the ghost of the gallows and all the mates who've gone. They sail with us in every storm, their spirits still live on. For every rope and every noose, their fight will always be a battle cry, a rebel song. You'll never shackle the seas.
Aye, me hearties ye heard from the callers, but some of ye prefer to put quill to parchment, so to speak. Letters, long and haunting, full of reckonings with the deep. Now I do love a good yarn, especially one with a taste of mystery. So let's see what we got. Dear Captain Jeb, I never met my great-grandfather, but I grew up with his shadow looming over my family. His name was Daniel Fletcher, a petty officer aboard the USS Cyclops. Oh, my grandmother told me stories about how he was supposed to come home that year, how he wrote to his wife about finishing his service and returning to his young daughter. But then, in March 1918, he vanished with the ship, and the family never got the closure they so desperately needed. Aye, there be the cruelest cut of all, the waiting. The long, lonesome wait that never ends. When a sailor's lost to the sea, there's no grave to visit, no headstone to mark his passage, just silence, and silence that haunts. What has always unsettled me, Captain, is what happened years later. My grandmother, Daniel's daughter, used to say she could still hear his voice. Not in memories, not in dreams, but in waking life. She'd be sitting alone and suddenly she'd hear him calling her name, clear as day. It happened more than once. It wasn't just in her head. Other family members heard it too. One night she was in her 60s. She was dozing in her chair and a loud knock startled her awake. She swore for just a moment she saw a figure standing in the doorway, dressed in an old Navy uniform, soaked to the bone. But when she blinked, he was gone. I know how it sounds, Captain. Maybe it was just grief, maybe it was just a mind playing tricks. But in our family, we don't believe the dead are ever truly gone. And I wonder, if the sea never gave back their bodies, where did their souls go? Aye, I've heard tell of such things before. Spirits adrift, knocking on doors, whispering through the tides, waiting for someone to listen. The ocean's got a way of keeping its own, but maybe, just maybe, it lets them reach out when the time is right. Dear Captain Jeb, I was hesitant to write this, but after hearing your show, I felt compelled. I am a merchant captain, been sailing for over 30 years. Back in 1997, we were running a cargo haul from Brazil up to Norfolk, Virginia, passing through the same waters where the Cyclops vanished. The night was calm, almost unnaturally so, when one of my deckhands called me to the bridge. Captain, he said, you need to see this. Now that be the kind of line that means trouble, eh? I stepped outside with my binoculars and looked to the horizon. There was a ship out there, barely visible in the moonlight, but something wasn't right. It had no running lights, no radio signal, nothing. Just a dark shape moving too smoothly across the water. We hailed it over the radio, no response. We signaled with our lights, nothing. We got closer, and that's when my blood ran cold. The ship was old, rusted, and covered in patches of what looked like salt erosion. Then I saw the faintest lettering on the hull. C-Y-C-L-O. Go on, lad, don't leave us hanging now. Before I could make out the rest, the ship simply vanished. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. No wake, no sound, just empty sea. My crew saw it too, Captain. To this day, I don't know what we witnessed. A mirage? A lost ship trying to find its way home? Whatever it was, we'll never forget that name. I almost read in full. Cyclops. Aye, now that sends a chill right to the bone. If ships can haunt the waters they were lost in, perhaps the Cyclops still sails, unseen but not unheard, lost between worlds, searching for a port that ain't there no more. Dear Captain Jeb, this story was passed down from my grandfather, who was a Navy man himself. One day at a flea market in Charleston, he came across an old pocket watch with an inscription on the back. It read, "To Lieutenant Commander George Worley. May the seas guide ye home." He bought it on the spot, knowing exactly who it belonged to. But from the moment he brought it home, strange things started happening. The watch, which had long since stopped ticking, started working again. But here's the thing, it didn't tell the right time. The hands would move backward, then forward again, stopping at exactly 4:48 p.m. That be an ill-fated time, no doubt. What happened next? He tried resetting it, winding it up proper, but nothing changed. 4:48 p.m. every single time. He later learned that the last recorded transmission from the Cyclops was estimated around that hour, just before she vanished. Eventually, he locked the watch away in a drawer. He never sold it, never wore it, just let it sit there until the day he died. The strange part, Captain, when we cleared out his belongings, the watch was gone. Some things don't want to be kept. Some things belong to the deep. Maybe that old watch finally found its way back to its rightful owner. Or maybe it's still out there, waiting for the next sailor to pick it up.
Lost at sea? Never again. With the Wayfinder's compass, you'll always know where the wind's taking you. Built with precision and forged for adventure, this compass won't lead you astray, even in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle. Pick up your Wayfinder's compass today, because every great journey begins with the right direction.
Ahoy there, weary traveller! Step inside the Black Anchor Tavern, where the ale's always cold and the stories never run dry. From hearty stews to the finest grog this side of the Atlantic will fill your belly and warm your soul. So if ye find yourself wandering near the docks, follow the sound of laughter and step inside. First round's on us.
There's a door beneath the water where the black tide doesn't churn. It waits for fools and wanderers, and none of them return. None of them return. We saw it near the Crescent Isles while the dead stars fade and glow. The waves stood high then split apart, showing what we should know. What we should know. Don't go down, don't look in, turn your back or lose your skin. The sea's got doors no man should pass, step inside. You won't come back. Close, he reached too far, and the sea swallowed him up, and the sea swallowed him up. We cast our nets, we searched the dark, not a trace nor whisper found. But in the depths, two eyes looked back, and Mick's voice came from the sound. Mick's voice came from the sound. Don't go down, don't look in, turn your back or lose your skin. The sea's got doors no man should pass, step inside, he won't come back. Keep our lanterns burning bright. But sometimes when the wind dies down, we hear me singing in the night, singing in the night. Don't go down, don't look in, turn your back or lose your skin. The sea's got doors no man should pass, step inside, you won't come back.
Aye, me hearties, we've travelled far tonight, back through time, across stormy seas, into the unknown. And yet, after all we've heard, the history, the theories, the ghosts that linger in the tides, one question still hangs in the air like a ship on the horizon. What really happened to the USS Cyclops? Now, we got our fair share of possibilities, don't we? The official Navy explanation, the practical mind's answer, says she was overloaded, maybe took on water, maybe suffered mechanical failure, and down she went. No wreckage? Well, the ocean's a mighty vast grave, and not every soul lost at sea gets a proper marker. Sounds reasonable, eh? But here's the rub. That explanation don't sit right with me. First off, no distress call. A ship that size, with over 300 men aboard, don't just slip beneath the waves without a whisper. Even in 1918, with radio technology being what it was, a vessel in trouble would have sent something. A signal, a flare, a shred of evidence. With the Cyclops, nothing. And then there's the matter of her course. After leaving Barbados, she was heading north to Baltimore, but some reports claim she deviated slightly. maybe even took a different route than expected. Why? Was it the weather? A mechanical issue? Or was there something else at play? Now, let's not forget old Lieutenant Commander George Worley. Aye, or should I say Wilhelm. Or Wilhelm. A German-born man rumored to have strange tendencies. Some of his crew didn't trust him. There were whispers of erratic behavior, of favoritism towards certain men on board, of harsh punishments for others. And consider this. The year was 1918. The Great War was still raging. Could the Cyclops have been a target? A spy ship, perhaps caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Maybe she was taken, not by the sea, but by enemy hands. Now, ye heard Dr. Carter speak of German involvement. Ain't so far-fetched. There were U-boats prowling those waters, picking off merchant ships like wolves among sheep. The Cyclops, hauling manganese ore, vital for making steel, would have been a prime target. And if Worley, or Wilhelm, had sympathies for his motherland, well now, maybe the Cyclops didn't sink. Maybe she was taken, crew and all. Maybe she was sculled far from where anyone would look. Her man either lost or, well, let's just say, taken care of. A grim thought, eh? But war is full of grim truths. But if war ain't the answer, what else could it be? Some say it was the ship herself. The Cyclops was doomed from the start. Cursed even. She weren't the only one of her kind to vanish, you know. Her sister ships, Proteus and Nereus, disappeared in eerily similar fashion years later. Same type of vessel, same cargo, same stretch of water. Coincidence? Or was there something in the design of these ships that made them prone to disaster? Then there's the Bermuda Triangle. I know we'd land here eventually. Now, I won't be claiming the sea's got a great hunger for ships, but I will say this. Too many have vanished in that patch of ocean for it to be ignored. Magnetic anomalies, they say. Rogue waves. Underwater currents pulling ships down without a trace. Some even talk of methane gas eruptions. Bubbles rising from the deep, robbing the water of buoyancy in an instant, dragging even the mightiest vessel straight to Davy Jones. But me, I ain't convinced that explains everything. Not the sightings, not the ships that sail again long after they should have been at the bottom. Not the whispering winds that carry names of the lost across still waters. And what are the tales we've heard tonight? The captain who saw the rusted hulk on the horizon. The name Cyclops nearly visible before she vanished. The family haunted by the voice of a sailor long gone. The pocket watch that refused to tell any time, but the hour the ship disappeared. Aye, these be ghost stories, he might say, but sailors know better than most that the past ain't always content to stay buried. Ships don't just sink, they linger, in the currents, in the wind, in the minds of those left behind. And sometimes, if the sea decides a tale ain't done being told, it lets something slip through. A glimpse, a whisper, a ship that should no longer be there, still sailing the same cursed waters. So what do I believe, ye ask? Did the Cyclops meet her fate at the hands of war, swallowed by the ocean's fury, or taken by something far stranger? Truth is, I don't know. And maybe that's what makes this mystery so haunting. The USS Cyclops should have left a trace. Wreckage, lifeboats, bodies. But she didn't. That, to me, be the most damning evidence of all. It's one thing to sink. It's another to vanish. Maybe she's still out there, somewhere beyond the reach of time, caught in a place we can't explain. Maybe she sails when the moon is high and the winds are still, waiting for someone to call her name. Or maybe, just maybe, she was never meant to be found. Wherever she is, may the Cyclops and her crew find peace. But something tells me they never will. Aye, me hearties, we've drifted deep into the unknown tonight, but don't be settling in just yet. Take a moment, refill your tankards, and let the tide carry ye through a word from our fine sponsors. But stay sharp, this voyage ain't over yet, and the sea's still whispering her secrets. There's rum, and then there's black anchor rum, aged in charred oak barrels kissed by the sea breeze, and strong enough to keep even the saltiest of sailors steady on their feet. Whether ye be celebrating a safe return to port, or mourning the loss of a ship swallowed by the deep, black anchor be the drink that keeps legends alive. Raise a glass to the ones who never made it home, and for those of us still sailing, may our cups never run dry. Black anchor rum, smooth as calm waters, bold as the open sea. Available wherever fine spirits are sold. Drink responsibly, lest ye find yourself lost in the fog.
Ever stared out at the horizon and thought, I was meant to chase it? Well, don't set sail without the right gear. Starboard Gear Outfitters has everything you need. Stormproof jackets, sea-tested boots, and compasses that won't lead ye astray. From rugged sailors to weekend wanderers, we outfit the bold, because when the sea calls, ye best be ready. Starboard Gear Outfitters for those who answer the call of the tide. Order now and use code BLOODYGOAL for 15% off your first haul.
And that, me hearties, be the tale of the USS Cyclops, a ship that slipped beneath the waves, taking her secrets with her. Was it sabotage, a war casualty, or did she fall victim to the Triangle's dark embrace, swallowed whole by something we ain't meant to understand? No distress call, no wreckage, no answers. A ship of steel, nearly 20,000 tons, disappearing into the blue like a whisper on the wind. Ain't that just like the sea? Always taking more than she gives, holding her mysteries close to the chest. A cruel mistress, but one we can't help but love. But our journey don't end here, me hearties. Oh no, the sea's got plenty more ghosts to share. Next time we set our sights on a disappearance not at sea, but on land, though I reckon that don't make it any less eerie. 3 men, keepers of the Flannan Isle lighthouse, gone without a trace. A table set with a half-eaten meal, strange logbook entries, talking of a storm that never came, and a final note that sends shivers down the spine. The storm is past, the sea is calm, God is over all. Madness? Murder? Or something older, something reaching in from the unknown, taking what it pleases? Join us if ye dare. But aye, that's all the doom and mystery we got time for tonight. Don't go drifting too far, me hearties. Ye never know when the tide'll pull ye in deeper than ye meant to go. If ye enjoyed the voyage, be sure to toss a few gold coins in the old treasure chest. Hey, I mean our donation fund, keeping the seas of mystery sailing strong. And if ye be new aboard, don't be a landlubber. Subscribe, follow, and join the crew. Now before I leave ye to the siren's call of sleep or a strong drink, remember, the world ain't as ordinary as it seems. Look close enough and you'll find shadows where there ought to be light, whispers where there ought to be silence, and mysteries where the maps say there's nothing but open sea. Stay curious, stay bold, and for the love of Neptune, if the sea starts whispering your name in the dead of night, maybe don't answer right away. Till next time, me hearties, fair winds, full cups, and may ye always find your way back to port, one way or another.